Court documents say the leader of New Life Church in Colorado Springs knew a pastor at his previous church in Texas sexually abused a child. New Life is one of the largest churches in Colorado Springs, and Brady Boyd is the senior pastor. The court documents allege that leadership at New Life hired Boyd despite knowing he was among those who were informed of the abuse. Senior reporter Megan Cloherty has read the documents and has a response from New Life Church. Megan, Boyd spoke about this during services earlier this month. What did he say?
Diane, he denies knowing anything about the abuse. You'll hear more from him in just a moment. Pastor Brady Boyd is not accused of any crimes in the court documents. However, a motion filed in a Texas lawsuit says Boyd knew that a fellow pastor at his last church had sexually abused a young woman several decades ago.
I was deceived. I was lied to.
During Sunday service on June 8th, Senior Pastor Brady Boyd told some 15,000 New Life Church congregants and 1,700 viewers online about who he calls his former mentor, Robert Morris. He says Morris hired him to help build Gateway Church in Dallas-Fort Worth, where Boyd became associate senior pastor and a church elder. 7 years later, Boyd was hired as senior pastor at New Life.
I worked alongside him, had no reason to believe that he had any kind of character issues. He did confide in me that he had had a moral failure when he was 20 years old. And that's really all the details that he shared.
But there was more to the story. Last summer, Morris was indicted on 5 felony counts of lewd and indecent acts with a child in Oklahoma, where the victim, Cindy Clemishire, lived. According to charging documents, the alleged 4 years of abuse began in 1982, when Clemishire was between 12 and 16 years old. Morris was in his 20s. Now he's 63. Last year, some 43 years after the initial abuse allegedly occurred, prosecutors filed felony charges against the senior pastor at Gateway Church, and he lost his job. Now, Morris has filed to get retirement benefits that he says he was promised. Morris is demanding $1 million up front and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year until he and his wife pass. In May of this year, Gateway filed an appeal in Tarrant County, Texas, after its attorneys say Morris broke the terms of his contract by skipping the agreed-upon step of mediation before taking a dispute to the courts. Morris filed a subsequent motion, and in it, he spells out when and where he told the church elders about his actions with Clemishire. But Gateway leaders argue in their filing that Morris, quote, withheld critical information and strategically mischaracterized his misconduct, falsely describing his sexual abuse of a child as merely an inappropriate relationship with a young woman. Morris responded, Gateway seeks to rewrite history in alleging Gateway elders didn't know about the relationship or its extent until 2024. Actually, the documents prove they knew by 2005, if not earlier. But Brady Boyd became an elder at Gateway Church 5 years earlier, in 2000. And so, according to the timeline spelled out in the affidavit, he would have been informed of the abuse. But he says he learned when charges were filed last year.
Shocking. It was mind-numbing, it was awful, it was evil, and he admitted to a 4-year relationship that started when he was 20 years old. The girl, Cindy Clemishire, was 12 years old when the abuse started, and it happened for 4 years until he was 24 and she was 16. I didn't know that. Nobody, very few people knew that.
In an effort to get his retirement benefits, Morris spells out in an affidavit related to the lawsuit that in both 2005 and 2007, he spoke with the elders about his sexual abuse of Clemishire. Halfway through 2007, New Life leaders were vetting Brady Boyd for the job of senior pastor, and Clemishire's sister alerted the hiring committee that Boyd knew about her abuse.
They found out, they heard in an interview with a family member that Cindy was 12 years old, and they immediately called the elders at Gateway Church and told them. And the elders of Gateway Church said, we're aware of that. It's been handled. Her family, her pastor has given Robert a thumbs up. They've gone through a process of restoration, and there's nothing left to do. It's already been reported. But the search committee didn't tell me.
But Boyd was an elder at Gateway in 2005 when, according to court documents, Morris told them what he did. Another indication that Boyd knew of the abuse was through a letter the court motion says another Gateway elder sent to him. The motion says after hearing about the victim's sister's accusations from New Life Church, the leadership at Gateway convened an elder meeting on August 28, 2007, and discussed past events involving Morris and Cindy Clemishire. The motion says Boyd was not at that meeting, but he was sent a letter detailing what was discussed. The letter did not say Clemishire was only 12 years old. Boyd has not acknowledged that he received the letter. During the service on June 8th, days after this information came out in court filings, Boyd told his church that he regrets making Morris a spiritual overseer of New Life when he was first hired.
I just want to tell you I'm so sorry that first of all, I did not know, but I would never, ever put a known pedophile in a place of authority in this church.
The church's website shows that Boyd also brought Morris in as a guest speaker and wrote about him as one of his closest friends in his church blog in November 2010. As far as New Life's hiring committee's decision not to report the alleged abuse, in a statement, the church says, quote, after being assured that the abuse had been reported years earlier and that the Morris and Clemishire families had resolved the matter, the committee was confident that those in authority had taken the appropriate steps both legally and spiritually and felt free to move ahead with their pastor search. It has been 43 years since the alleged abuse happened, and 20 years since Morris says he first reported his actions to church elders. Now, Pastor Boyd says he wants justice.
I want him to be brought to justice. He's admitted to this. And I pray for absolute justice and healing for the Clemishire family. I have nothing but compassion for her and for what she went through. That's awful. We got to do everything we can to protect our children, period.
Morris was first charged last year. He's next in court in Oklahoma in September. We'll continue to follow this story as it develops. In studio, Megan Cloherty, News 5.